Bonjour et bienvenue tout le monde. Hi and welcome everyone to our Speech Bubble Languages French Language Clinic. As you can see from the screen, this clinic will be covering the rules around adjectives in French. So first and foremost, let's make sure that you're happy you know what we mean by the word adjectives. Adjectives are descriptive words. They are used to describe nouns or to distinguish a noun from a group of similar objects. For example, the red pen, the blue pen. The word pen is our noun, and the words red and blue are our adjectives. If you're unsure about nouns, do check our previous clinic on nouns too before continuing on with today's session. So let's take a look at some French adjectives. Down the left-hand side, we have some words in French that we would use to describe a noun. You can try saying them after me if you like. Paresseux, sévère, beau, tranquille, stupide, généreux, gros, ennuyeux, timide, bavard, sportif, vert. Let's see if you can match the French with the English meaning on the right-hand side. You can pause your video here while you try that task. So here are your answers. Did you get all 12 correct? Lazy, strict, good-looking, calm, stupid, generous, fat, boring, shy, chatty, sporty, and finally the colour green. All of these being adjectives, describing words for nouns. So this brings us to the main part of our language clinic today, looking at what we call adjective agreements. Adjectives must agree with the gender of the nouns that they describe. What do I mean by that? Well, they need to make sure that the spelling is correct according to whether the noun that is being described is masculine or feminine. For example, taking people as our noun, Paul and Claire, makes it nice and easy for us to identify the gender. Both Paul and Claire can be described as chatty. Paul est bavard, Claire est bavarde. Do you see the tiny spell change when we were talking about the female or the feminine noun of Claire? There's a little E added on to the end. Adjectives must also agree with the number of nouns that they describe. In other words, the spelling of the adjective must change according to whether you're describing one noun, one thing, one person, or one idea, or whether you're describing more than one. Par exemple, Paul est bavard, Paul is chatty, but Paul et Martin sont bavards. Although you can't quite hear the S in the spoken format, you can see it clearly written down. So adjective agreements is about changing the spelling of the adjective as to whether the noun that's being described is masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. Let's take a look at that in a little bit more depth. This is how we make adjectives agree when we're talking about regular adjectives. One male person would describe themselves as being funny as follows: Je suis amusant. I am funny. If there was more than one male person, they would need to change the spelling to add that extra S on there. Ils sont amusants. They are funny. If it were a female describing herself as being funny, you can see that little E popping on the end again. Je suis amusante. I'm funny. Two or more females being funny. Elles sont amusantes. Do you see we've got an E and an S now? Those are the rules for all the adjectives that can be classified as regular. As we say in class, the adjectives that are behaving and following the rules that they've been told to follow. So on our table here, you can see our layout of that word funny, the different ways it can be spelled. Masculine singular now, amusant. Feminine singular, amusante, with an E. Any plural, be it masculine or mixed gender group, amusante, with the S. And plural again, but just female nouns or female people, amusante, E and S added on there too. So below funny, we have the word in French for polite, chatty and charming. I'd like you to pause the video here as you apply the rules that you have just seen for the word funny to each of those three other adjectives: polite, chatty and charming. Poli, bavard, charmant. So hit pause here as you work through that task. Now let's check them, shall we? There are all the different ways we can spell the word polite in French. Poli, 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 poli. So sounds the same, but the spelling is different. Chatty, we saw a little of earlier on. Bavard, bavarde, bavard, bavarde. And finally, charmant, the different ways we can spell the word adjective charming. So check what you've written down there too. Now, of course, I told you that these little rules, the addition of the E and the ES, or the S, is just for regular adjectives. However, as can always be expected in language learning, many adjectives in French do not follow these patterns. Let's take a look at some examples, shall we? Here we have the word lazy, paresseux, kind, gentil, sporty, sportif, hardworking, travailleur, and shy, timide. Let's take a look at how the spelling of these adjectives change. Paresseux, this EUX ending, becomes EUSE for the feminine. Masculine plural stays the same as the masculine singular. In feminine plural, there's an S added on to the feminine singular one. So lazy can be spelled paresseux, paresseuse, paresseux, and paresseuse again. What about gentil? What do we do with this IL ending? You can see here, we have an additional LE added on for the feminine. Gentil becomes gentille. An S added to the masculine to become plural. And again, an S added to the feminine to become the plural feminine form. Gentil, gentil, gentil et gentil for kind. So sporty is our next word. Look at how much this changes. The F becoming a VE, sportif becoming sportive. We then have sportif et sportive. Again, that lovely S being added on to make those masculine and feminine singular words to plural masculine and plural feminine. Travailleur. Whoa, there's a change, isn't it? That R at the end of travailleur becoming an SE. And it's significant plural forms there for you too. Travailleur, travailleuse. And finally, shy. Wow, well, that one's not changing very much in those masculine into feminine. Then you can see the plural changes, adding that S. Why not pause the video here as you take a note of some of those down? For those of you who are studying with us in one of our classes, you'll be given an easy reference guide in your notes to help you out, showing you that depending on the adjective ending, there are some certain rules that can be applied, and there's lots more examples there on the screen for you, including some really irregular adjectives, like the word for new becoming neuf, neuve. It's a strange one. If you're not learning with us, hit pause here and use the screen there to help add extra notes to your own note-taking skills, so you have a full reference guide to help you with adjective agreements in French. So let's try it out and add our final challenge onto our language clinic for today. Numbered 1 to 10 here are some sentences in French, and the little boxes are the masculine singular formats of the adjectives that you require to finish off the sentences. Read the sentences carefully and determine whether the spelling of the adjective can stay as masculine singular or whether it needs changed. If it does need changed, is it going feminine or is it going plural? Is it even going into a plural feminine format? Refer back to your notes to get the spelling correct. Hit the pause button here as you work through that task. Okay, let's check in then, shall we? Mon frère est paresseux stays the same. Mes grands-parents sont généreux. Mon copain est très sportif. Mes copines sont très heureuses. La femme est gentille. Ma sœur est bavarde. Ma tante n'est pas timide. Mon chien est gros. Mes perroquets sont verts. Et finalement, ma ville est trop petite. I hope you got all 10 points there. Many thanks for joining us. Merci beaucoup for coming and listening to our Speech Bubble Languages Language Clinic on adjective agreements. I hope you found this useful, and we will see you again for another clinic soon. Au revoir tout le monde. Bye everybody.